Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to today's yin practice. A few props that will be handy today. If you have a couple heart blocks, then I suggest keeping them near the top of the mat so that they're handy if and when you need them. A soft block is usually helpful as well, either for padding or for sitting on. And then for today, we'll also use a strap. I will show some alternative shapes that don't need the strap if you don't have one, but otherwise maybe a belt or anything strap-like, and you can leave that near the mat as well. And then I'll invite you to get started on the back. But if you'd prefer to start in a seated meditation or anything like that, go for it. If you're coming to lying down, then find any comfortable symmetrical shape for the body. And take a moment to settle yourself in. And if you need to add any props or any support anywhere, then go for it. And take a moment to settle the shoulders in. Take a moment to settle the hips. Maybe give the head a rock side to side. And if it feels okay to close down the eyes, then you might do that now. Otherwise, find a soft gaze towards the ceiling. And as you settle yourself in, start to check in with the body to see how it feels today. As you scan through the body, notice if there are any spots that feel a little tense. Maybe any spots that might need a little extra attention today, a little extra care. And from here, as you feel ready to, gently invite the breath to deepen. Each time you inhale, exploring a sense of space in the body. And each time you exhale, grounding, softening. And before we start to move the body, check in to see if you'd benefit from a little more time in the shape. And you're welcome to stay here a little while longer or for as long as you need. And then when you feel ready to move the body again, wiggle the fingers out and the toes, maybe a rock of the head side to side. If you're using any props, you might move them out of the way. And then from here, extend the legs long down the mat, reach the arms long up the mat, find a full body stretch. And then take your feet towards the bottom left corner, take the arms towards the top left corner until you're in a crescent moon shape. You can bend the elbows if you need to, you can turn the head, and you could stack the right ankle over the left or the right wrist over the left. And take a few deep breaths into the whole right side of the body. And with an inhale breath, bringing everything back to center, And as you exhale, feet to the bottom right, arms to the top right, we'll find a mirror expression for the second side. If this side feels a little different, if you need to modify, then go for it and keep the pelvis evenly heavy on both sides. And find the stretch through the whole left side. And with an inhale breath, bringing everything back to center. And then from here, you can release your arms down. We'll bend the knees. So a couple options. One is for robot arms here, so elbows grounded, fingertips towards the ceiling. A second option, you can grip the edge of the mat or have the palms flat by the sides. And then we're going to flow bridge. And for today's version, take a moment to ground down through the heel of each foot and then also through the ball of the foot. So really press those 2 points down and find whatever works best for you. So I'm cueing with this expression with the feet, if it feels better to have the heels down and the rest of the foot up, or maybe for the knees, if it feels better to be on the ball of the foot without the heel, then choose whatever you need. And then from here, we'll flow a few times and then we'll pause. So as you're ready, take an inhale breath, lift the pelvis any amount. As you exhale, lower it back down. And then 3 more, nice and slow. And final one, and we'll pause at the top. Inhale to lift up, and then pause here as you exhale. So notice the soles of the feet, keep pressing the ball, the heel to the floor. And notice the elbows, the shoulders, keep them grounded as well. And take one last inhale, and slowly sequence the spine back down. Now pause when the pelvis touches the floor, and then walk the feet forward about a foot length. Check in with the knees straight away, see what expression with the foot works best for you, and we'll do the exact same thing. So inhale breath, lift the pelvis any amount, and exhale breath, lower it back down. A couple more, then we'll pause. Inhale, lift up, and then pause here. Notice the feet, notice the shoulders, keep them grounded and breathe. With an exhale breath, slowly sequence the pelvis back down to the floor. Pause. And then walk the feet forward once more. Maybe it's a foot length this time. You might need to be just on the heels. My feet don't quite reach the floor at this point. And then also check in if that last one felt a little wobbly. You could see about taking the feet just a little wider apart. See if that helps you feel more stable. As you're ready, inhale breath, lift the pelvis up. And exhale, lower it down. A few more. The next time you inhale, we'll lift and then pause. Take a few deep breaths here. Notice that whole back line of the body. When you feel ready with an exhale, slowly lower everything back down. And now extend the legs all the way down the mat and then gently flex the feet. So curl the toes up towards the shins and then maybe wiggle the hips a little bit here. Give the hamstrings a little stretch out. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we'll bend the knees and look around, find your strap, and we'll loop the right foot in the strap. So maybe it's at the ball of the foot, or find a place that feels the most comfortable for you and extend the leg up towards the ceiling. The knee doesn't have to be all the way extended, so if this is a bit much, you can bend the knee more, you can give yourself more slack. See if you can keep the shoulders down to the floor. So if you find yourself kind of curling up here, just give yourself a little more room. Now imagine that you're pressing the foot into the strap, see what that feels like down the leg. And then if you want a little more sensation, you could also think about re-extending that left leg. Now, if you're happy in stillness here, then go for it. Close down the eyes. If you like to add a little movement, you might start to pedal the heel gently, maybe moving with your breath. So as you inhale, curl the toes towards the shin. As you exhale, point the toes away. Last couple if you're flowing. Awesome. As you're ready, coming back to center, rebend the right knee in towards the chest. You can move your strap to the side, and we'll set for half happy baby. So it might be necessary to bend the left knee once again for this. We'll reach the right arm to the inside of the right leg to catch hold of maybe the foot, the ankle. You could also use your strap if the foot's a little far away. And then bring the foot like it's standing on the ceiling. Maybe your left hand as a counterweight. It can be on the pelvis or out beside you. And if it feels okay, give yourself a gentle rock here. Left leg can be bent or extended. And you might keep going with a rock. You might also choose some slight circles with that hip. You could play with extending the leg a little bit, rebending it. And take the next 6 or so breaths and move any way you like. Awesome. And then as you feel ready, release the right leg long down the mat and just pause here for a moment and settle the hips in, soften whatever you don't need, and just check in. You might notice the right leg might feel a little longer than the left. Awesome. And then as you feel ready to bend the knees once again, find your strap, and we'll loop the left foot. Left leg extends up towards the ceiling. Notice if this side feels different. Keep the shoulders evenly grounded. Keep the pelvis evenly grounded. Start to press the foot into the strap. Notice the sensation down the leg. And choose stillness here, that gentle pulsing, inhaling toes towards the shin, exhaling, pointing the toes away. Last couple if you're flowing. And back to center, gently release, rebend, and we'll set up half happy baby. So catch the inside or the outside of the left foot, ankle, shin, wherever you need. Maybe right hand to the pelvis here. Give yourself that rock side to side. Maybe you'll start to exaggerate the motion a little bit, see what feels best for this side, and notice if there are any sticky spots you want to look out for. Awesome. And then as you feel ready to gently release the left leg, extend it long down the mat, and pause for a moment. Take that scan from the feet to the head to the hands, and notice what everything feels like here. when you feel ready to move again, roll on to whichever side you have more room on, and pause in a fetal position for a moment. And then as you feel ready to, coming up to find any comfortable seated position. And cross-legged, if that works for you, maybe sitting up off of a prop. And take a moment, wiggle the shoulders, settle the hips in here. Inhale, breath, peel the heart open, lift the gaze towards the ceiling, and then exhale, round in, chin to chest. Seated cat-cow, inhale, expand the front body, and exhale to lengthen the back body. A few more with your breath. As you feel ready, inhale, come back to your tall spine, and pause, release the shoulders. We'll stay seated a little while longer, so if you want to switch the cross of your legs to keep things even, then go for it. Inhale, breath, circle the arms to the ceiling, and then twist towards the right. Let the hands land wherever they land, so maybe on the floor or on the legs somewhere. Inhale, breath, lengthen the spine here, and as you exhale, turn the gaze over that right shoulder, finding a twist up into the neck as well. And keep breathing that length through the whole spine. Inhale, breath, unravel, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, and exhale over to the left. Let the fingertips land. Lengthen the spine with an inhale, and maybe take the gaze over that left shoulder. And the next time you inhale, unravel, reach the arms up to the ceiling, and then release them. Give the arms a little shake out. And then any way you like, make your way to a tabletop position. And once you arrive, set the hands up under the shoulders, spread the fingers, maybe grip the finger pads into the mat, find some support for the wrists. And then from here, we'll transition to plank pose, so you can step one foot then the other to the back of the mat. And then check in to set yourself up here. If it feels better to work from the knees, then go for it. If you're working with any lower back pain or anything like that, that might be a good option. Either way, keep the hands pressing actively to the floor. Find some stability through the shoulders here. And then we'll stay here for a few breaths, option to add on, only if that works for you, by lifting the right leg up off the floor and taking 3 deep breaths here. And once you complete the third breath, you can lower the right foot back down and then lift the left leg up. Take 3 more breaths. Lowering as you feel ready, stay in your plank. Take one last inhale, lengthen the body. And as you exhale, bend the elbows, lower all the way down. As you arrive, untuck the toes, press the finger pads to the mat out in front. And then with an inhale breath, peel the heart open for a strange cobra. As you exhale, dip it back down. A couple more. Final one. And then hands under the shoulders, press up to tabletop, and then hips to the heels. Find your child's pose. And you might bring in a block for under the forehead. If you like to take the feet a little further apart, then go for it. And then option for the arms here, sometimes called chicken arms, is to walk the palms back so that they're almost in line with the knees, and then the elbows are bent by the rib cage. You can keep the hands as they are. For a little more wrist stretch, you can bring the backs of the hands down to the floor, and then you can adjust how much weight by bending the elbows a little bit more, a little bit less, to see what feels best as a stretch. And take a few deep breaths here. As you're ready, you release the hands and come back up to your tabletop position and plant the palms under the shoulders. And then from here, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and we'll set up downward facing dog. So you might pedal the heels a little bit and take a moment to find some movement, check in with the body in the shape. If you need to make any adjustments, go for it. Find your expression of down dog that feels best for today. And from your downward facing dog, bend the knees deeply, and then slowly walk the feet all the way up to the hands, taking as many steps as you need. As you arrive in your forward bend, then you can bend the knees as much as you need to support the low back here, maybe even resting chest on the thighs, and then alternate bending the knees a little deeper, extending the legs to stretch out. You can exaggerate this any way you like, maybe adding a sway of the torso as well. And then as you're ready, you can settle into stillness. Let the head be heavy here. If you like to take hands to the opposite elbows or a different arm expression, then go for it. And let the spine, the head be as heavy as you can. And releasing the arms. Inhale breath, come to a halfway lift, lengthen the spine. And exhale, sigh it out. And twice more. Last one. Inhale breath, come up. And pause here as you exhale. And take one last inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, bend the knees, and we'll set up for chair pose. So hands can land on the lap. They can come to prayer. If it feels better to reach the arms forward or up, then go for it. And find a depth that feels appropriate here. And find that length from the tailbone to the crown. If you feel like you're in a deep back bend, maybe a little more hug pubic bone to belly button. Stay here, take a deep inhale. Maybe sink a little deeper. Last full breath. Inhale, lengthen, and hinge forward, forward fold. Awesome, halfway lift. And step the right foot to the back of the mat. You can keep the right knee lifted if you prefer to lower it, go for it. And I took my left foot a little bit to the left just to help with balance. And when you're ready, with an inhale, come all the way up and we'll set up a high crescent lunge. So find a bend to the left knee that feels appropriate here. If there's anything else you need to adjust with your stance, go for it. Keep that back foot active, the back leg strong. And now inhale, breath, reach both arms to the ceiling. And then pause, soften the shrug muscles. And take a deep inhale, reach tall. And then twist to the left, arms to a T. Inhale, back to center, lengthen. And then same side, exhale. Once more, inhale. Exhale, twist, and then pause here. Notice the shrug muscles, maybe they can soften a little bit, and find that stretch, reaching the fingertips away from the other fingertips. And the next time you inhale, unravel to center. Exhale, bring the hands to the floor, step to downward facing dog. And from your down dog, inhale, shift forward to plank, and lower all the way down. Inhale, one round of cobra, lift the heart, and soften. And tabletop as you inhale, and back to downward facing dog as you exhale. Now as you inhale, lift that right leg up behind you, and then exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands, and this time lower the left knee down to the floor. You can pad the left knee if it's sensitive, and then look around, find your blocks, bring one for each hand. And take a moment to find an appropriate length for this stance. So if you want to even give yourself a little more room, go for it. And then inhale, breath, lift the heart space, lift the gaze. As you exhale, hips back, front leg extends. Inhale, come forward to your lunge. And exhale, hips back. And do this a few more times with your breath. And you can also exaggerate the motion a little bit here. So anything that feels like a good stretch in your body. And wherever you are in your cycle, the next time the hips come back and the right leg extends, and take a pause. And then walk the blocks just a little closer so you can lift your torso up a little bit. Now from here, one option is to bring the right thumb to the right hip crease and manually press the hip back. See what that feels like as a stretch. One other option is to take your blocks and then walk your hands over towards the right-hand side. Now see what this feels like here. There might be a tendency for that right hip to be lifting. See if you can keep it level to the left. And then option to turn your gaze, your head towards the back of the room. See what that feels like. All right, inhale, breath, unravel if you're twisted, and then exhale, walk yourself to a lunge, step forward, forward fold, and take a few breaths here. So find your expression, find the arm expression that you like, maybe a little movement, maybe stillness right away. And when you feel ready to, inhale, halfway lift, and sigh. And twice more. Last one. Inhale, halfway lift, and pause. And take a deep inhale, lengthen, and bend the knees. Find your chair pose. Exact same expression, or maybe something different for this side. Check in here, notice where the weight is, heels or toes, balance that out. Find that length in the spine, find the depth that feels best, and maybe close down the eyes if you want to challenge the balance. Stay here, take one last deep inhale, and hinge forward, forward fold. A halfway lift, lengthen, and step the left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Left knee lifted if you did so on the first side, or you can lower it. And then from here, maybe right foot to the right an inch or two. As you're ready, come on up and we'll set for high crescent lunge. So again, you might adjust, you might lengthen or shorten the base, keep the back foot active, find a bend to the front knee that feels good. And then as you're ready, reach the arms up towards the ceiling and settling the shoulders as they arrive. And then setting to twist, take an inhale, reach high, and twist towards the right as you exhale. Inhale, center, and same side. Last one, and then we'll pause. So pausing in your twist, keep the left hand reaching forward, the right arm reaching back. If you notice your shoulders start to climb up, see if you can soften them. And then a few deep breaths here. The next time you inhale, unravel, reach up, and then hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Now you can stay in down dog or find child's pose, or we'll take that same flow. Inhale, breath forward to plank, and then lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, inhale, cobra. Exhale, soften. And then tabletop, and back to downward facing dog as you feel ready. Take a couple of breaths here, or anywhere else you need along the way. As you feel ready to, inhale, breath, lift the left leg up, and then step the left foot forward between the hands, and the right knee lowers to the floor. Maybe pad the knee, maybe find your blocks. Check in with your stance, with the length of the base. See what feels the most comfortable for you. And then inhale, breath, lift the heart space, lift the gaze. Exhale, hips back. Flowing your breath, your pace. And then the next time the hips come back, and pause. And walk the hands a little closer to lift the torso up part way. Find that length. Maybe left thumb to the left hip crease. Manually encourage it back. Or if you added the twist on the first side, walk both your hands over to the left-hand side. Now keep the spine as upright as it needs to be here. Maybe take the gaze over that left shoulder. Awesome. And then inhale breath. Walk the hands forward, bend the left knee, and step forward to your forward fold. Any arm expression, stillness, movement. And in about 8 breaths, we'll meet in downward facing dog. So see if there are any shapes you want to take between now and then. Maybe you want to stay in your forward fold. Maybe you'd want to rest in child's pose. If you want to flow again, then go for that. And so take the next 7 or 8 breaths. Any movement, any shape or stillness. From downward facing dog, only as you feel ready to take an inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. As you exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. We'll come back up to a high crescent lunge, so take your time to adjust, and then you can make your way up as you're ready. And then find a distance between the feet that allows you to feel relatively stable in the shape. And reach the arms up to the ceiling, soften the shrug muscles, support the low back. And then inhale breath, and soften. And catch hold of that right wrist now. Inhale, lengthen the right hand side, and then arc over towards the left. Now, if you need a little more support, left hand can come to the left hip at any time. Otherwise, you might keep the arms extended. Breathe into that whole right side. Awesome. Inhale, come up to center, and then spin the right heel to the floor. Open up for warrior two. So if you need to adjust the stance, go for it. Find the relationship between front and back foot that feels the most comfortable, the most stable. Arms reaching, shoulders soft. Maybe the gaze to the front or to the side. And we won't stay here, so take the right hand to the right hip. Inhale, arc back for reverse warrior. Maybe you'll bend the left elbow to catch the back of the head. And then maybe turning the chest a little bit up towards the ceiling. Take a couple deep breaths here. Maybe you have room to bend the left knee a little bit deeper. And stay here. The next time you inhale, extend the left leg all the way straight. And then as you exhale, come up, reach forward, and then hinge to find your triangle. So left hand can come to the shin, a block, or the floor. Right hand, keep it at the hip for a moment, just to roll that right shoulder up, down, and back. Give your chest room. And then from here, if you like to take the right arm up, then go for it. Now notice your base. Keep the feet pressing to the floor. Keep the length in the spine. Last couple deep breaths here. Awesome. Deep inhale. As you exhale, bring the right hand to the right leg and spin the left foot in, paralleling the feet. If you need to take the feet a little closer or wider, then go for it. And take a deep inhale. As you exhale, hinge and fold over the legs. Now you might need to bend the knees a little bit here. If it helps to turn the feet in or out slightly, go for it. And find your expression of a wide-legged forward fold. If you want a little movement for the hips, that might feel nice here as well. As you feel ready to, take an inhale breath, come to a halfway lift position, and then we'll pause here. So spin the right foot out to the side, and then press the left heel down, left toes up towards the ceiling. And from here, walk your hands over towards the right. Start to bend into that right knee to find a side lunge. And then find your version of this. So if you want to hop that right foot a little closer, some people it's necessary to lift the heel up off the floor, so that's fine. If you prefer to have the heel down and that works for you, then that's great too. And then anything else you like to add on here is if you want to take hands off the floor, maybe bring them to prayer for more challenge. And stay mindful that the left leg stays active here. Last couple of deep breaths. And then with the support of the hands, take an inhale breath to crawl yourself into a lunge facing the front of the mat. Lift the back heel up, and then we'll hop that right foot close enough that you can bring the heel to the floor and find your blocks with your hands. And then from here, extend the left leg towards straight, lengthen the spine. So both sets of feet are mostly pointing forward, but if it helps to turn them out or in a little bit, if it helps to widen your base, see what you need to do to accommodate the pelvis here. And if you're unsure, you can bring one hand to the low back and notice if it feels like it's sloping down one direction or the other, maybe you can adjust the feet. And from here, take a deep inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, hinge and fold any amount over the leg. If you're not quite ready to settle, you might do that a couple more times, and you can always bend the left knee as much as you need. Awesome. One final pose for this sequence. Come back to your halfway lift position, and then from here you might even take a slightly higher setting for the props, so see where we're going and see what you need to do. And take the left thumb to the left hip crease and take an inhale, lengthen the spine, and as you exhale, turn the chest open towards the left any amount. So left thumb can stay where it is. You can bring it back to the low back if you like. Maybe reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. And then think of that twist that we did earlier. Find that distance between your two hands. Find that length in the spine and make sure you're still breathing. All right, if you need a couple more breaths, then feel free to stay. Otherwise, the next time you exhale, unravel back to center. Halfway lift, inhale, lengthen. And step forward to a forward fold. Any expression of a forward fold here, and maybe you've had enough forward folds for today. We still have the other side to go. So if you'd rather come to squat pose, then maybe you'll choose that. You can also come up to standing or any of the other shapes that we did earlier. And we'll take about 8 breaths. Eventually, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. And as you feel ready to transition, making your way to down dog any way you like. Awesome. From down dog, inhale breath, lift the right leg up, and then step the right foot forward between the hands. Find the foundation for your high crescent lunge, and then when you feel ready, you can come on up and take a moment to adjust whatever you need. Arms can reach up, and soften the shoulders here. And then as you feel ready, catch hold of that left wrist, take an inhale breath, lengthen the whole left side, and then arc over towards the right. And that same option is there to take the right hand to the right hip. And keep that left foot plugging to the floor. Keep the left leg strong. Find that stretch. Imagine that you're breathing a little bit more room in between each rib on that left side. Inhale breath, come all the way up. And then lower the left heel, open up the arms for your warrior two. And then adjust. And set the feet, set the hips, set the shoulders. Arms are reaching, find your gaze point. And then the left thumb, left hand to the left hip. Inhale, breath, reverse your warrior. Maybe catch the back of the head. Maybe the gaze turns a little bit towards the ceiling. And maybe you have room to bend that right knee a little bit deeper. Awesome. Inhale, breath, extend the front leg towards straight. And as you exhale, come all the way up, reach forward, and then hinge for triangle, right hand, shin, blocker, floor. And take an inhale, turn the chest open as much as you can, and then soften the shrug muscles of both arms. Left hand can stay or reach towards the ceiling. Gaze can be down to the side or up. Keep the feet pressing down, keeping you steady. And then steady breath here. Deep inhale breath. As you exhale, left hand to the left leg, and then parallel your feet. And take a moment to adjust your stance, lengthen the spine, and then hinge and fold over the legs. On the second side, whatever arm expression you like to take. We're here for about 8 breaths. If there's any other movement you like to add, then go for it. When you're ready, the hands return roughly under the shoulders. Find your halfway lift, and then spin the left foot out. Turn the right heel down, right toes towards the ceiling, and start to bend into that left knee. Now your stance might be a little long. You can shorten it. And then no, this side may feel a little different to the first. So maybe the first side, the heel is up, this side it's down, or vice versa. Don't worry too much about it. And if you took balance on the first side with the arms, then maybe hands to prayer, or hands can stay down. And keep that right leg strong. Take a few deep breaths. Awesome. And then hands to the floor. Lift the hips. Walk the hands forward until you're in a lunge. Lift the back heel up. And then hop that left foot close enough that you can bring the heel down. Hands to props for extra support. You can press that right leg towards straight. And then adjust the feet any way you need. So feet mostly pointing forward, but adjust for your pelvis, for your hips. If you like to check in with the low back, notice if there's a slant to one side. Inhale, breath to lengthen here. And then hinge and fold any amount over the legs. And keep your breath going. And if the breath feels a little choppy, maybe you're even in too deep, you can always back out so that you can find that smooth, deep inhale and exhale. All right. If you want a few more breaths here, then please stay. Otherwise, back to your halfway lift and maybe adjusting your prop for the left hand. Bring the right thumb to the right hip crease. Take a deep inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, turn the chest open towards the right any amount. And again, you might check in, encourage the right hip back, check in with the low back here. Keep the feet steady, keep the breath going, keep the arms reaching. Last couple of deep breaths in the twist. Last deep inhale, and the right hand lowers. And take an inhale, lengthen the spine, and step forward, forward fold. And stillness or movement, and take the next 8 breaths wherever you need to be. And then from wherever you are, we'll meet in standing in a few breaths. So think about how you'd like to transition there, and you can make your way there whenever you feel ready to. As you do arrive in standing, take a moment to set up your mountain pose. So whatever distance between your feet feels the most comfortable and the most stable for you. Maybe lift and spread the toes, find a little distance in between. And take a moment to find that space for the chest and gently draw the shoulders back and down. Find that length from the heels, which are grounded, to the crown of the head, which is lifting. And then when you're ready, you flutter the eyes open if they're closed, wiggle the fingers and the toes, and then look around for your strap. I'll also show a version of this where the knee stays bent the whole time. So if that's a better option for you, then feel free to choose that. We'll start off with the right foot, so take a moment to ground down through the left. And then when you're ready, you can loop the right foot somewhere around the ball of the foot, extending the leg forward in space, and then check in here. Imagine that the version of this that we did at the start of practice, so imagine that the shoulders are staying grounded to the floor, so give yourself as much slack as you need. And then from here, take both ends of the strap to the left hand, take the right thumb to the right hip crease, and encourage that right hip down. And now inhale, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, twist towards the right any amount. The gaze can stay forward the whole time, or it can follow you. And then from here, option to extend that right arm behind you. And then notice if you're leaning back or forward, see if you can keep the head roughly above that left foot. And then breathe here. The next time you inhale, come back to center, and then gently release the right foot down. Come back to your mountain pose and pause. And check in with the body and notice what the difference is between the two sides. As you're ready, flutter the eyes, wiggle fingers and toes, and find your strap once again. Find your gaze point to keep you steady. Lift and spread the right toes, ground down, and then loop the left foot wherever feels the most comfortable. And again, enough slack that the shoulders can stay mostly down. If the left knee needs to stay a little bent, then that's fine too. And check in with the pelvis here, find that length in the spine, flex the left foot, and then both ends of the strap to the right hand, left thumb to the left hip crease. Inhale, breath, lengthen, and then turn the chest towards the left, any amount, and gaze can follow. Now left hand can stay or reach toward the back, and keep the chest proud, keep that length going from the right heel to the crown of the head. Notice, are the shoulders starting to shrug up? Can you find a little space for the neck? Inhale, breath, coming back to center. Release the left foot down, come back to your mountain pose. If anything needs a shake out, go for it, but then settle yourself in. Find your stillness, find your breath, and check in with the body. then flutter the eyes, wiggle fingers and toes. Step to the top of the mat if you weren't there already. And then, yeah, make room for yourself. Take an inhale breath, reach the arms up, and then hinge forward, forward fold. A halfway lift to lengthen, and plant the palms and step to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths, stillness or movement here. And then from your downward facing dog, slowly lower the knees down to the floor and look around for your props. So we'll have the strap nearby for this. And then I'm going to use both of the hard blocks. So whatever you need to use, you'll see where we're going. So start with tabletop, and then we'll bring the right knee forward, take the right foot over to the left, and then the left knee behind the right, left foot over to the right. So the legs are crossed, and then you can use your blocks to make yourself a seat. And slowly start to bring your weight back and come to sit on the blocks. Now, a couple things that you might need to adjust. I'll show the version of the pose from the back in case that's a better option, in case there's sensitivity in the knees. But for this one as well, one option is to take the left leg, so the bottom leg, and extend it long down the mat so you're doing the one-legged version. So that might be a good option. If you feel really high on your props, one option would be to take one or even both of the blocks away, as long as you have an evenness through the pelvis. If you find yourself listing to one side, then add a little bit of height. From here, tall spine, soft shoulders. One option is to stay here, close down the eyes, and work with the breath. I'll also offer the expression for the arms, which might offer a nice stretch from some of those exercises we did with the strap. So from here, we'll take the strap into the left hand, reach the left arm up towards the ceiling, and then bend the left elbow, bring the hand roughly behind the neck. Reach the right arm out to the right, thumb pointing down, and then bend the right elbow to catch the other end of the strap. And then from here, you can walk your hands a little bit closer together. But if you notice that that makes you round in, then maybe you need a little more slack. And once you find your expression, once you find the stretch that feels best, maybe close down the eyes and breathe here. And then if you have the arm expression, gently release the arms. And we'll keep the legs for a little while longer, so if you do need to adjust something in that stance, go for it. And take an inhale breath, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, and then twist towards the right, let the hands land where they land. So maybe one will be behind you, maybe the left hand's on that right knee. And keep the spine nice and tall. If you like to take the gaze over the right shoulder, go for it, and breathe into this length. Awesome. And then inhale, breath, unravel the center. Exhale, take your counter twist over to the left. And now 2 ways to transition. You can come through tabletop and set up the exact same way, or keeping the hands down to the left, press down to the hands and feet, and then keep crawling in this counterclockwise direction. And then when you come back to center, you can drop the pelvis back down to the floor, and maybe the legs are set up. Maybe they need a little bit of an adjustment. And this side might feel a little different as well, so feel free to adjust what height you have under the hips or where the feet are relative to the pelvis. Take a moment to settle in, to lengthen the spine. And then again, that option to pause here, to close down the eyes. If you're finding the bind, then take the strap into the right hand this time, bend the elbow, and then left arm to the left, thumb pointing down, bend the left elbow to catch the other end. And again, you might walk the hands a little bit closer. We're holding it for about a minute, so if it feels really intense now, it'll probably feel even more intense later. So find something that you can sustain. And then gently you flutter open the eyes. If they're closed, release the strap. Inhale breath, circle the arms up to the ceiling, and then twist to the left, maybe left hand behind you, maybe right hand to that left knee. Lengthen here, inhale, and gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale breath, unravel to center, take your counter twist over to the right. And then if you did that transition on the first side, we'll do the same here just to keep things even. Press the hands and the feet down and walk yourself clockwise all the way around until you can find a seat. And we won't stay this time. Unravel the legs and then give the legs a windshield wiper side to side to release. And then from here, look around for your props and then find your hard blocks, maybe the soft block. Just make sure that they're nearby in case you need them. And then from here, we'll lower down onto the back. So any way you like to get there, maybe hands to the knees and bring yourself down. And then when you arrive on the back, we'll look around, find one or both of your hard blocks, and press the feet down, lift the pelvis so you can slide a block underneath the pelvis, underneath the sacrum. So look for something that feels flat and level. And if the block is digging into the spine at all, then you might need to push it down a little bit. And then from here, we'll take our legs up pose. So you can bend one knee and then the other. You can pause here. If you're ready to, you can extend the legs towards the ceiling. And then you have other props hopefully nearby. So if you need to adjust, then go for it. If the block feels uncomfortable, maybe you want to use something softer, you can put a blanket on it. Arms can be anywhere on the body or beside the body. You can take them to the floor overhead. And then find if you need to bend the knees a little bit, that's fine. If you want some movement, you might think about drawing some circles with the ankles. You might take 6 or 7 rounds in one direction and then change that. Or if you like to pedal or something else. Notice if there's a lot of effort somewhere in the body and see if there's either something you can adjust in the pose itself or with your props to make the shape feel a little more effortless. If you need a little more time here, feel free to stay. Otherwise, bend the knees, lower the feet to the floor. We'll keep the prop for one more pose. So for this one, if you want to add even more height, then that might feel good as well. So you might choose to use a couple hard blocks. And one option is to stay in this version of a restorative bridge pose. Again, arms can be by your side or overhead. And the other option is to start to extend the legs forward down the mat and see which version feels better to you. Because this is a supported shape, if it feels okay to let the feet flop a little bit, let them do their thing, and find that stretch of the whole front line of the body. Notice if the mind has started to wander. And see if you can bring your attention back to your breath. And then as you feel ready to exit the pose, release the arms first, and then slowly walk the feet back in until they're roughly underneath the knees. Or from here, lifting the pelvis just enough that you can move your props to the side, let the pelvis touch back down. And from here, take the soles of the feet together, take the knees wide apart, and you can use your props to support the hips. And the hands might rest on the pelvis if that feels comfortable, or choose your arm expression for the shape. And this is the last shape that we'll take together before Shavasana, but you could also stay in this shape for Shavasana. And so if you're happy here, then feel free to make any adjustments that you need, maybe untying hair, removing glasses, maybe adding a layer, although it's unlikely. And if there is a different expression you'd like to come and rest in, then feel free to set that up now. You could take the legs extended in a traditional shape. You could also rest in a seated meditation or in any other comfortable, symmetrical, quiet pose. Take your time to settle in wherever you are, and if you're breathing with a breathing technique, you can soften that. Let the breath return back to its natural inhale and exhale. You might give the head a gentle rock side to side to release the neck. You might run your tongue along your teeth, between teeth and lips, top set and then bottom set to release the jaw. Letting the body become heavy here as you settle yourself in. Gently bring your attention back to this space. And from wherever they are, bring one hand to your heart space and the other hand on top. And take a deep inhale, puff up. Deep sigh. And again, deep inhale, find your space. Let it go. Last one, most dramatic. When you feel ready to, you use the arms, the hands to bring the knees back in together. And then you might take the feet a little wider, rest the knees in together, find a pause, especially if you took your Shavasana and butterfly. And then maybe a gentle windshield wiper of the knees side to side here. You can keep this going or collect the knees into your chest. And then maybe give yourself a rock side to side or a few circles with the low back, one direction, then the other. And for your transition, you can roll to one side or gently rock and roll your way up. And we'll come and meet in any comfortable seated position. So cross-legged if that works. Any props that you need, then go for it. And settle the hips, lengthen the spine. Maybe collect the hands in at the heart. And take a moment to check in with the body, to notice your breath, notice your head space. Thank you for sharing your breath and your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for practice today. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and have a great week.